Stop accepting the crushing frustration that your life is destined to remain a chaotic pile of tangled threads, frayed knots, and unfinished projects forever. Stop comforting your breaking spirit with a shallow, exhausted excuse that your inability to finish what you start, your stalled business ventures, your abandoned creative dreams, or the constant fragmentation of your life savings is simply a lack of personal discipline or a consequence of a bad economy. Freeze your positions exactly where you are right now, lock your eyes onto this screen with absolute, unyielding intensity, and do not dare to swipe away from this immediate, high-priority manufacturing rescue broadcast. If you make the fatal mistake of skipping this transmission in the next few seconds out of casual distraction or modern skepticism, you are actively authorizing the spirit of disruption to continue shredding your patterns at the loom, leaving your life's work completely unraveled. This is not a common internet video, nor is it a basic motivational speech designed for your passing amusement. This is an immediate, sovereign restoration of your divine design. Tonight, the Master Weaver of the universe is stepping directly into your physical reality to permanently fix the broken loom that has systematically ruined your efforts, sabotaged your timing, and left your greatest goals half-spun since the year 1990. If you close this clip right now, you are turning away from the only celestial artisan sent to untangle your path, leaving your future destiny completely snagged tomorrow morning. Look closely at the invisible blueprint of production sabotage that has been quietly operating over your life for over 3 decades. You have noticed how every single time you gather the passion to launch a new enterprise, commit to a fresh career path, or try to weave together a stable financial safety net, a sudden, unexplainable tear appears in the fabric of your plans. You have watched your hard work unravel at the very last yard. Your contracts fall apart just as they are about to be signed, and your bright beginnings degenerate into a pile of messy, unmanageable strings. You have spent years bleeding your energy dry, pulling long hours, and trying to patch up the holes in your reality, only to watch the same mysterious friction drag your momentum back to zero. You have blamed this endless cycle of half-finished execution on bad partnerships, a lack of luck, or your own psychological exhaustion. But I am here to completely shatter that delusion with an uncompromising, piercing truth. Your frustration is not a failure of your intent, but the direct result of a calculated spiritual disruption at the loom. The forces of limitation do not want your household to wear the seamless garment of victory and continuous wealth. Their ultimate objective is to keep your life's fabric perpetually torn, ensuring your energy is wasted on raw materials that never become finished products. They have spent 36 years snapping your threads, but tonight, the Supreme Architect of Destiny has ordered an immediate intervention. Wake free from this generational illusion right now. Do not be deceived by the messy, unraveled state of your current projects or the ongoing anxiety of your stalled goals. In the United States, you are surrounded by a deeply secular, clinical culture that views productivity as a purely mechanical routine, completely blinding you to the fact that the patterns of your life must be spiritually aligned before they can ever manifest as physical success in the material world. The entities of chaos do not wait for you to fail, they preoccupy the loom of your future in the unseen world, twisting your alignments, fraying your connections, and ensuring that no matter how hard you spin, the design always snaps under pressure. Have you ever wondered why you feel an immense wave of panic and sudden dread just as a project is nearing its final completion? That is the dark cloud of the broken loom activating its pre-programmed sabotage to make you abandon your pattern before you can ever see the masterpiece. But tonight, the Master Weaver is driving a sovereign stake into the ground on your behalf, untangling the knots, and authorizing an immediate structural rescue. I have uncovered the hidden traps binding your productivity, and I am exposing the frantic panic of the adversary who wants to keep your potential buried in a chaotic pile of scraps. The spiritual saboteurs who have disrupted your progress are gathering in a frantic, panicked circle at the very borders of your future at this exact microsecond. They are staring at your screen right now, praying that you will feel too defeated, too cynical, or too exhausted to receive this immediate relational and financial rewrite. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep your spirit silent for just a few more seconds, the supernatural transfer of your finished breakthrough will hit an irreversible bottleneck, leaving your design completely tangled and returning your family to another decade of frustration. But the High Court of Heaven has just issued an absolute decree of total restoration over your life. The sovereign judge has recorded every single tear you've dropped over a ruined dream. He has seen the hidden exhaustion of starting over from scratch, and he has ordered an immediate, full-scale celestial intervention to line up your threads from top to bottom. Stand your ground right now, lock your eyes onto this transmission, and prepare your spirit to witness the immediate layout of your perfect, uninterrupted destiny, while your natural focus remains entirely locked onto the fraying edges of your daily schedule, the agonizing disappointment of contracts that snap at the final hour, and the endless clutter of half-finished ventures. A silent manufacturing revolution is taking place at the master console of your destiny. I am here to expose the astonishing, high-velocity precision of the pattern realignment. Right now, as you sit under the weight-bearing, intense atmosphere of this emergency manufacturing rescue broadcast, the master weaver of the universe is bypassing your conscious limitations to directly access the spiritual loom of your earthly journey. He is not merely throwing a loose thread of comfort to soothe your mind or giving you a temporary burst of human hope to push you through another exhausting week of failing projects. He is executing an immediate, systematic, intricate blueprint respooling. Deep within the celestial manufacturing rooms where the life paths of individuals are intricately structured, the great artisan is physically resetting your timeline. He is systematically untangling the messy, knotted fibers, the hidden spiritual interferences, and the unexplainable last-minute disruptions that have micro-targeted your creative and financial output since the year 1990. The sovereign hand of God is actively erasing that long history of fragmentation, resetting the tension on your destiny's loom, and weaving a flawless, continuous masterpiece across your name. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Stop believing the deceptive, critical internal voice that tells you that your household is destined to remain a permanent monument of unfinished business, abandoned concepts, or sudden failures at the finish line. Those persistent, heavy blockages that have snapped your momentum right as you are about to touch your ultimate goal are nothing more than the fading debris of a twisted spiritual layout that has just been legally and structurally liquidated by the highest authority in existence. You have been systematically trained by years of watching your parents or your peers settle for broken patterns to believe that your own hands must never hold a completed, seamless garment of absolute success and continuous security. But the divine authority is completely interrupting that systemic entrapment tonight. The dark, hidden sabotage codes that were specifically weaponized to twist your alignments, create sudden friction in your partnerships, warp your financial focus, or fray your concentration right before the project hits production are facing an absolute celestial arrest. The unnatural breakdown of your life's momentum is being completely stopped by a supreme decree of victory, and your future is being completely respooled to carry an unprecedented, continuous flow of pristine fabric design and unshakable material order. I have detected the silent, unseen drain on your hard work, and I am exposing the exact spiritual origin of the structural tangles that have tried to keep your potential buried under a pile of scraps. The spiritual saboteurs of limitation are gathering in a frantic, desperate circle at the very perimeter of your mind and business assets at this exact microsecond, verifying the strength of the restrictions they laid down against your lineage. They pointed directly to the countless years you spent watching promising deals unravel at the last yard, and the sudden, Unexplainable household crises that pop up out of nowhere inside your home to drain your investment capital, as absolute proof that your design was bound to stay broken. They boasted to one another, "We will make sure this individual remains under a heavy cloud of constant confusion and half-finished labor. We will pass the same heavy burdens of fragmentation down to their children, and we will trigger a sudden crisis that breaks their momentum before they can ever spin a lasting legacy." They thought your quiet, tired tolerance of these repeating struggles was your legal consent to their displacement. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stood up on your behalf, banged his supreme gavel in the courtroom of justice, and ordered an immediate spiritual realignment of your fibers. He is erasing their toxic distortion from your layout, turning back the dark cycles, and replacing your fragile blueprint with a seamless, glorious reality. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and stop expecting a slow, ordinary, typical recovery that relies solely on natural variables, human industry trends, or standard earthly effort. Linear progression is the slow, limited protocol of a broken world, designed to exhaust your raw materials and your spirit until your energy reserves are entirely spent. The pattern realignment operates on the immediate, explosive frequency of a sovereign divine rewrite. Tomorrow morning, as the physical world resets, an unprecedented shift is going to manifest inside your daily material experience. It will materialize as a sudden, shocking breakthrough regarding a stalled contract, the unexpected completion of a long-delayed financial deal, the total clearance of a complex administrative tangle, or a sudden, unexpected influx of resources that will leave your natural human mind completely paralyzed with relief. This atmospheric transformation is the undeniable materialization of your pristine fabric design. It is the physical proof that your life's spiritual routing codes have been completely switched. The natural world is being forced to recognize that your upcoming days are no longer a target for disruption, but an impenetrable sanctuary of divine manufacturing order. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week and steal your potential, and I am locking down your victory right now. The thieves of destiny had already drafted the blueprints to ensure that your mind would remain a place of low-level anxiety, always managing one moving crisis after another, and always too distracted by daily survival to ever focus on the massive global wealth and creative breakthroughs that heaven is releasing to your name. They wanted your family trapped in a cycle of constant defensive patchwork. But the hand of God has walked straight through their physical blockades, wiped your structural records clean, and erected a blazing wall of fire around your future lines. Their authority over your work has been permanently revoked, and your thoughts, your investments, and your upcoming completed projects have been stamped with the infinite protection of the King. You are moving away from the position of the worried, vulnerable weaver and taking your seat as the sovereign governor of an unprecedented, completed legacy. There is an absolute, unyielding production law operating within the highest governance of the spirit realm that decrees that whenever your creative output has been systematically targeted, your focus scattered, and your mind heavily weighed down by a cloud of constant execution anxiety, the ultimate relief will not be a slow, difficult process of human recalculation. It will be a sudden, explosive arrival of supernatural restoration. The long, exhausting seasons of you lying awake in the dark, staring at unfinished drafts, delayed ventures, and drowning in a silent panic about your mounting overhead costs, your frozen collaborations, and the terrifying fear that your household will never break out of this exhausting cycle of incomplete projects have officially reached their absolute expiration date tonight. I am here to build a fierce, indestructible certainty in your soul. The entire architecture of operational sabotage and fragmented focus in your family line is being completely demolished by the seamless notification. Heaven has just authorized an immediate, high-velocity material settlement that will completely bypass every traditional industry timeline, every human gatekeeper, and every slow-moving rule of the natural market. God is not just throwing you a small, temporary piece of advice to ease a single bottleneck. He is forcefully executing a mandatory 10x execution speed, laser focus, and structural mental strength restoration that will instantly flood your workflow with unshakable stability and permanent finishing power before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow morning. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and reject the deceptive reality of the operational limitations that have been suffocating your family line since the year 1990. In the United States, you are constantly conditioned by a highly rigid, corporate culture to believe that bringing your biggest dreams to fruition requires endless decades of soul-crushing trial and error, that your past abandoned projects define your upcoming days, and that your household must stay permanently restricted to a life of sprinting, burning out, and quietly leaving your potential half-spun under the weight of chronic distraction. But I am here to completely interrupt that systemic brainwashing with an uncompromising, absolute prophetic mandate. The divine hand of the supreme artisan is currently compressing years of withheld career favor, hidden resource allocations, and unrewarded intellectual labor into a single, high-velocity operational shift. I am delivering an explicit, time-stamped ultimatum to your spirit. Before 12 a.m. hits your clock tomorrow morning, a sovereign turning point will manifest in your immediate physical reality. You will receive an unprecedented piece of news regarding your primary career path, an unexpected notification of approval for a long-stalled financial deal, a sudden breakthrough in a project that was completely frozen, or a shocking resolution to an unfinished venture that will leave your natural human mind completely paralyzed with relief. The massive dread of failure and wasting your years that has been crushing your shoulders will be completely obliterated in a single moment. I have intercepted the dark plans set against your tomorrow, and I am exposing the silent entity of disruption that has tried to turn your workspace into a place of constant torment. The spiritual adversaries of your productivity stood over your life, holding up your unfinished goals, your moments of quiet creative despair, and your chaotic notes as permanent trophies of their victory. They whispered directly into your subconscious that you were running out of time, that your children were destined to carry the same heavy physiological and mental blocks you carried, and that your household would always live at the mercy of sudden distractions and unexpected mechanical breakdowns. They set hidden traps to ensure that the exact moment your workflow began to experience any real progress, a sudden crisis or an unexplainable domestic emergency would emerge from the shadows to drag your momentum back to zero. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stepped into the center of your manufacturing layout and shattered their plots to absolute dust. He has issued a supreme pattern release order, demanding an immediate, forced eviction of every toxic limitation and dark restriction hovering around your name. The life force that was stolen from your family line is being forcefully routed back to your execution centers this very hour. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Stop looking for a small, ordinary operational blessing that will only cover your immediate daily tasks, clear a minor email backlog, or give your mind a brief moment of breathing room. Low-level survival is the frequency of the amateur, but this shift is designing the armored legacy. The Master Weaver is dropping an overwhelming 10x finishing capacity and mental serenity surplus into your custody to completely transition your status from a worried, vulnerable weaver into a sovereign governor of a completed masterpiece. God is equipping your mind with a superhuman clarity that will cut through years of static in a single afternoon. The deep, heavy, ancestral trauma that has dictated your choices for decades, the constant fear of your work being rejected, the anxiety of looking at low-performance analytics, and the dread of an unstable tomorrow, is being utterly consumed by this sudden influx of liquid authority and divine security. You are being aggressively extracted from the bracket of the overwhelmed casualty and launched directly into the position of an operational anchor. The structural damage of decades is being completely undone in a single midnight hour. In the United States, you are surrounded by an artificial culture that tells you that your professional future is entirely defined by your current diagnostic metrics, your manager's pessimism, and your physical age. But I am here to command an absolute supernatural override of that broken materialist protocol tonight. There is an immediate, aggressive relocation of production authority happening in your atmosphere at this exact microsecond. The security, the clean execution, and the massive timeline breakthroughs that were legally and spiritually withheld from your household are being shaken loose by a celestial earthquake. The enemy thought he could wear your spirit out by extending the operational drought for years, but he did not realize that God was compressing the vital rain of your entire future into a single, explosive midnight cloud. That cloud is bursting over your professional files before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow morning. I have detected the silent financial and physical drain on your hard work, and I am deleting it with a loud, terrifying roar of this divine settlement. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what is about to hit your creative machinery and your home. He knows that the moment that dynamic seamless notification materializes, his ability to control your household through fear, anxiety, and desperation is permanently broken. He has kept your mind under pressure to keep your voice quiet, but by sending this seamless notification, heaven is completely funding your ultimate creative freedom. The people who assumed you would always remain fragmented, who dismissed your potential, and who expected your goals to fail will be left completely speechless when they witness the immense, unexplainable sovereign surplus of focus that now covers your territory. They will look for a natural explanation, but there is no logic here, there is only the supreme authority of the King. Break free from this generational illusion right now. This is the definitive turning point of your chronological and material existence. If you turn away from this word, you are choosing to stay bound to the slow, agonizing crawl of linear overthinking and passing the vulnerability down to your next generation. But if you receive this aggressive restoration, you are authorizing the immediate release of the 10x payout of speed. The wall of fire is active. The enemy's assignment is cancelled, and the celestial transfer is live. The old identity of operational insufficiency is exiting your life forever. The absolute weight of divine production prosperity is occupying your reality. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week and steal your focus, and I am locking down your victory right now. The secret plans to ensure your mind remains a place of low-level anxiety, always managing one moving crisis after another, are completely neutralized. The text, the contract clearance, and the dynamic blueprint activation that are arriving before 12 a.m. cannot be blocked, cannot be reversed, and cannot be delayed by any human or demonic force. You are moving from empty-handed worry to permanent, unshakable completion. Your loom is unlocked. Your 10x protected execution era is live. We have reached the absolute, dangerous flashpoint of this entire manufacturing rescue operation, the exact tactical threshold where the complete liberation of your creative and financial output must be locked directly into your physical reality. You have felt the raw shock of the tangled threads. You have witnessed the pattern realignment vaporize the ancient residue of fragmentation codes inside your spiritual blueprint, and you have stood under the roaring downpour of the seamless notification as the 10x execution speed and laser focus surplus was redirected straight into your lifestyle. But I am here to deliver an uncompromising, urgent sovereign ultimatum. In the high court of heaven, there is a strict, unyielding law of production execution, a cosmic material relocation of creative favor and structural momentum requires the physical signature of the household's designated chain breaker. The massive ancestral records of unfinished business, abandoned concepts, and sudden failures at the finish line have been entirely cleansed on your behalf, and your production routing codes have been cleared of the enemy's hidden draining mechanisms. But the final activation of this pristine design demands your immediate kinetic consent. to permanently lock down the enemy's terminal weapons and prevent them from launching a vengeful, sudden counterattack against your workflow tonight, you must execute this Weaver's Confirmation Act. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Do not be deceived by the superficial silence of the room you are sitting in or the seemingly mundane act of typing on a digital screen. In the United States, you are constantly surrounded by a deeply secular, surface-level culture that treats words as disposable vibrations and digital commitments as meaningless text, completely blinding you to the fact that your material and spatial destiny is secured in the unseen world. But I am here to completely interrupt that modern blindness. Your digital response right now is not a casual engagement metric for an internet platform. It is your official spiritual signature on the celestial manifest of permanent future distribution, absolute operational sovereignty, and project safety. Right now, the Master Weaver of the universe is standing over the central master console of your temporal destiny, his finger hovering directly over the final blueprint release button. But the supreme authorization is currently paused. He is waiting for you to legally step forward and confirm your identity as the authorized governor of your house. If you remain a silent, hesitant observer out of sheer carelessness or doubt, you are effectively signaling to the heavenly recorders that you accept the terms of the old structural oppression. You are letting your silence act as a legal waiver, allowing the spirits of chaos and unraveled plans to reoccupy your future schedule. I have intercepted the dark plans set against your tomorrow, and I am exposing the frantic panic of the adversary who wants to keep your voice completely quiet. I heard the spirits of operational sabotage and layout frustration gathering in a desperate, frantic circle at the very perimeter of your household's future workspace. They are staring at your fingers on your device at this very split second. They are desperately whispering doubt into the atmosphere, praying that you will hesitate, praying that you will feel too cynical, too prideful, or too embarrassed to type your decree. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep you silent for just a few more seconds, the mechanical alignment and the breakthrough work on the celestial loom will completely freeze. The celestial construction will hit an irreversible bottleneck, marking your fabric as unclaimed and automatically returning your family to another decade of unraveled projects and shifting sand. The enemy will instantly regain legal custody of your professional files, reactivating their distraction protocols, and leaving your loved ones trapped in the exact same cycle of exhaustion, chronic anxiety, and sudden mechanical emergencies that broke your ancestors since 1990. But I am commanding you to completely smash their schemes right now. I am commanding you to log your confirmation into the heavenly database by typing in the comments immediately, "Design fixed" or "My pattern is straight." Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and claim the definitive fast-forward mechanism for your family's peace, architectural stability, and permanent future. The moment you type those words, you are performing an aggressive, spiritual takeover of the potential that was hoarded and stolen by the forces of chaos and execution failure. You are driving a legal stake into the spiritual database and declaring to every spirit of hereditary failure, every root of operational blockage, and every demonic architect of sudden project crisis that their jurisdiction over your mind is totally broken. You are trading your years of fragmented suffering and fear of failure for his boundless, unfailing resilience. If you choose to ignore this explicit directive out of hesitation, you are choosing to wake up tomorrow morning to the exact same heaviness, the same empty energy reserves, and the same terrifying domestic tightness of living with a pile of raw materials that never become finished products. Your miracle will remain frozen in a state of eternal suspension because the head of the house refused to sign the production release form. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week, and I am watching the recorders of glory stand at absolute attention right now, waiting for the frequency of your specific architectural response. They cannot drop the millions of dollars in spiritual resource allocations and extended operational protection into a physical frame that refuses to declare its recovery. Your written command is the active key that shatters the enemy's freezing mechanisms over your home's atmosphere. When you type "Design Fixed," you are completely neutralizing the operational blockades that have paralyzed your family's endurance, your financial approvals, and your long-term legacy goals. You are telling every force of external manipulation that their authority over your household identity is entirely null and void. You are executing the sovereign decree of the king over your upcoming creative territory. In the United States, you are trained by the secular system to operate in a spirit of absolute doubt, to wait for physical sight before you dare to speak with authority. But I am here to command a total reversal of that broken protocol tonight. In the courts of the sovereign, your decree creates the materialization. Your word forces the physical reality to realign. Your long-standing operational panic has been a counterfeit security blanket that you have held onto out of sheer habit. Tonight, you must violently tear that blanket away. You must trade the comfortable, predictable rhythm of your struggle for the terrifying, explosive velocity of supernatural finishing power. I am commanding a full-scale spiritual riot against your household status quo. Type the word. Sign the letter. Release the flood of pristine design over your upcoming calendar. I have detected the silent financial and physical drain on your hard work, and I am deleting it right now with the roaring sound of this sudden release. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what happens when your fingers touch that keyboard. He knows that the moment you enter your code into the registry, his legal right to hold your household's creative destiny hostage is completely terminated. He has kept your household weak, worried, and drifting for decades for one reason: to keep your mouth closed and your focus off your ultimate permanent masterpiece. By publicly writing my pattern as straight, you are officially taking your seat as a chief administrator of the kingdom's protection. You are forcing your family's property file out of the enemy's execution center and triggering an instantaneous distribution of completed layouts and structural safety. Break free from this generational illusion right now. The divine hand will never force his abundance into a home that remains silent and unaligned. He requires your active confirmation to drop the permanent asset security of the Creator into your lap. This text is your literal digital passcode. Without it, the seamless notification remains a distant possibility rather than an immediate possession. But with it, the transfer becomes completely unstoppable. The release becomes irreversible. The safety becomes manifest. I saw the secret meetings of the registrars of glory, and they are updating your family's vital land balances and protection logs the very microsecond you execute this command. They are clearing the red ink of your family's creative struggles and inputting the massive sovereign surplus. You are moving from the panic of the broken loom to the dominion of the master weaver. The old frequency of decay and displacement is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense vault of permanent inheritances live the moment you claim its contents. The command is issued. The registry is open. The pen is in your hands. Do not hesitate for a single second. Do not negotiate with your past domestic trials. Design fixed. Type it with the heavy authority of a ruler. My pattern is straight. Write it with the absolute certainty of an owner. You are entering the sanctuary of the fully shielded. The great artisan has pre-approved the layout of peace. Now you must finalize the delivery. I have intercepted the dark plans set against your tomorrow, and I am deleting them with the pulse of the eternal covenant. The freeze is broken. The sovereign vault of longevity and protection is open. You are safe in the authorization of the Almighty. You are secure in the treasury of the King. The vulnerability is exiting. The overflow of God is occupying your home. The confirmation is final. The ancient, suffocating patterns of operational sabotage, constant project fragmentation, and the exhausting mental anxiety that held your creative destiny hostage for decades have officially been shattered at the deepest foundation. As you stand in this monumental, life-altering moment, the broken frame of your unraveled past has been completely removed from the spiritual record, replaced by a clean, fully authorized decree of absolute structural restoration. But listen to this final directive with every single ounce of your spirit, and let a holy, urgent awareness settle over your mind before this transmission concludes forever. A freshly unlocked workflow, a fully aligned creative path, and a newly liberated family tree are the absolute primary targets for a desperate, retaliatory strike from the forces of chaos. The old limitations and sabotaging entities do not want to see you walk into a life of clean, unshakable productivity and continuous finishing power without launching one final, frantic attempt to drag your mind back into a state of chaotic distraction. You are entering the ultimate hour of your professional defense, and your immediate task is the total lockdown of this victory. Welcome to the seamless garment sacrifice. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Do not make the tragic mistake of assuming that the patterns of operational failure and mental exhaustion will simply fade away without a fight. The moment this broadcast ends and your screen goes dark, the silent architects of structural displacement will look for any crack in your operational armor. They are waiting for you to drop your guard, hoping you will carelessly return to your daily routine without locking your deliverance into place. I am directing you right now to establish your permanent boundary line. This act of total alignment, this unwavering commitment to secure your structural sovereignty by hitting that subscribe button immediately, is your physical verification that the doors of generational lack and unraveled plans are shut forever. This specific circle of the spool is the permanent lock on your life's new pristine design. If you turn your back on this altar tonight, you are leaving your creative workspace entirely uncovered. The forces of limitation will see your mind exposed, and they will immediately move to reactivate the unexplainable financial freezes, the sudden real estate drops, and the heavy emotional clouds that wore down your identity since 1990. They will hack right back into your destiny on a spiritual level and bleed your savings dry until you feel completely worthless and scattered again. Think of the immense, painful price that was paid to clear your record tonight. Close your eyes and connect directly to the raw, visceral reality of the cross, where Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice to pay the ransom price for your creative independence. See him hanging there, his body torn to ribbons, his dignity stripped away by mocking crowds, and his blood pouring onto the dirt. Look closely at how the soldiers stripped him. He willingly allowed his own flawless, seamless garment to be torn apart and gambled away by heartless guards so that your bikri highway, torn, and tattered life could be stitched back together into a magnificent, uninterrupted, and seamless destiny. He took the heavy weight of your family's fragmentation, your inherited patterns of starting over from scratch, and your midnight panic attacks into his own perfect soul so your children would never have to carry the burden of a broken spirit or an unfinished life. His ultimate operational trauma was the absolute acquisition of your finished masterpiece. Turning away out of sheer negligence does not just risk your tomorrow, it deeply grieves the very heart of the Creator. God will literally weep over your carelessness, watching his child walk away from a secured refuge that cost his own perfect son everything. Do not make the Father hide his face in deep sorrow, watching you hand the keys of your newly unlocked loom back to the very demons that tortured your lineage with endless cycles of failure. Act right now with absolute urgency. Lock this subscription as your permanent shield, secure your notification bell, and step boldly into your life's new era of unshakable, vibrant execution. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week and steal your focus, and I am anchoring your household into a state of permanent resilience. By locking in your subscription, you are not just interacting with a digital interface, you are enforcing a celestial boundary line that the enemy cannot cross. The thieves of identity who spent decades monitoring your tears and calculating your failure are officially barred from your life. Your mind, your career, your investments, and your upcoming personal choices are now classified as sovereign, protected property under the highest authority in existence. The old frequency of manipulation and fear is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense, unending vault of autonomous freedom is active the moment you claim its contents. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and walk forward with the absolute weight of divine prosperity occupying your reality. The anxiety of failure is gone. The fear of sudden rejection is vaporized, and the generational chain of operational captivity is broken. You are moving from empty-handed worry to the absolute dominion of a master weaver. Your loom is fully unlocked. Your identity is completely redeemed. The shield is active, the protection is final, and your glorious era of personal freedom is fully established for all generations to come. The seal of your pattern is absolute.